What's going on, everyone? You're welcome once again to David Data Channel. And on today's video, we're continuing our DBT A to Z series with the letter H. And on today's video, we're going to be talking about DBT hooks. And at the end of this video, you would have learned what DBT hooks are, how you can use them in your DBT project, and what they can be used for. If you've missed other videos in this playlist, you can do well to check that in the link above and link in the description below as well. And I'm sure you're going to find other content that will be valuable to you in your analytics engineering and data engineering journey. Alright, so let's jump down into this video. What are DBT hooks? DBT hooks are simply SQL statements that you write for custom things you want to do in your data warehouse that does not come with DBT out of the box. Now, take for example, you wanted to grant column level or row level permission on a table to certain users. Now, DBT doesn't come with such feature out of the box. Well, however, since these are basically SQL statements that you're going to run against your data warehouse, you can use DBT hooks to run these statements after your models have been created, right? So DBT hooks can be run before your models are created or after your models are created. They can be used for several things. Maybe like you want to create user-defined functions, you want to manage roles and permissions within your data warehouse, you want to maybe uploading files to S3 on Redshift. Basically, any SQL statement that you want to run as part of your workflow within your data pipeline that is not part of DBT's native features, with hooks, you can actually run those statements as part of your DBT project. Now, there are several types of hooks. There is pre-hook, there is post-hook, there is on-run start, and also on-run end. So before I go ahead to explain what these types of hooks are, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video. That is the subscribe button. I'd like you to hit the subscribe button right now. Just do it now. Thank you. Yeah, don't forget to hit the notification bell as well so you can be notified once a new video drops in. And I'm sure you're going to get one or two things out of the videos. Thanks so much for the support. Alright, so let's move ahead back to our hooks video. Now, pre-hook and post-hook. Now, just as the name implies, pre-hook are hooks or SQL statements that DBT runs before your model is run. Post-hooks are hooks or SQL statements that DBT runs after your model is run. So for pre-hook, before your model or seed or snapshot is built, you can run a pre-hook that DBT would run that SQL statement first before building that model on your data warehouse. Be it the model is seed or a snapshot, right? And the post-hook, DBT would run that SQL statement after the model is built. Say, for example, you wanted to grant permission to certain users or column level or row level permission to certain users, right? So after that model is run, you can add a post-hook to your model configuration and DBT is going to run that on your model. So for your pre-hook and your post-hook, you can define this configuration within your model configuration using the model config block, or in a global level using your dbt_project.yaml file, or you can create a YAML file for that model to serve to put the configuration for your pre-hook and your post-hooks for that model, right? Really, that's how it works. Now we're going to talk about on-run start and on-run end. On-run start, as the name implies, that SQL statement you have defined is executed at the start of DBT build, compile, DBT doc generate, DBT run, DBT test, DBT snapshot, and DBT seeds, right? So all those commands, at the start of this command, this SQL statement is run at the start. On-run end, on the other hand, is the opposite of on-run start. Is executed at the end of DBT build. So let's say you run a DBT build model, a DBT build rather command, or DBT run, or DBT seeds or snapshot or whatever it is. Now at the end of that command, on run end SQL statement will be executed. At the start of that command, on run start SQL queries will be executed. Pre-hook will be run before the model is built. Post-hook will be run after the model is built. On run start will be executed at the start of DBT build or whatever command you have executed, right? On run end would execute at the end of whatever DBT command you have executed to be put as part of your DBT workflow. Now we're going to go ahead and see a simple demo of how you could execute this, or just a simple project that shows these 4 hook types, how they are being used, a simple example of how it's being used. So join me on my screen right now. All right, so we'll just quickly walk through an example of the pre-hook, post-hook on run start and on run end. So what do I have here? Okay, something I did not mention earlier was that your pre-hook and post-hook configuration can be done within your models, within your model using your config block, or within your DBT underscore project YAML file, or you could create a YAML file for your model and do that configuration within that model, within that model configuration or documentation file, as it were. However, for on run start and on run end, the configuration is only done within the dbt underscore project.yaml file, which is your global file, right? Yeah. So what do I have here? So for on run start, basically I'm saying create this table if it does not exist. On run end, I am saying update that table and set the run completed at as the current timestamp where run completed at is null. So if I go to my model, you will see my pre-hook and my post-hook. So basically I'm saying for my pre-hook, insert into that model that has been created, model name, run start, and run completed at. You're inserting the model name, you're inserting current timestamp as run started at, and null as run completed at. And for post-hook, I'm granting select on the model to role finance team. Yeah, so basically that's what I'm doing. So if I run this model now, because I have on run start and run end on a global level, is going to run that, right, regardless, for every model. And then for my pre-hook and my post-hook, before the model is built, it's going to do that it's going to insert that run start, the current timestamp as run started. Yeah, so this is what we have. You see the flow. On run start, it does that, it creates the table. And for my model, just within this model, before this model is built, it inserts the current timestamp as run started at, and run completed at as null, and the model name. And then the post hook is I now grant a select on this model to the role finance team. And for my on run end, it inserts or updates that's my model runs table, updates it and then sets the runs completed at as current timestamp, so I can have when the model started and when the model ended. So this is a simple typical example of how you could use your DBT hooks. Remember, I said DBT hooks are SQL statements that are not by default run by DBT, but you use them as part of your database administration processes or workflow. So with hooks, you can put this in your DBT project and allow DBT run those queries for you, so you can have a better workflow right in your development and management of a data warehouse. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a thing or two out of this video. I'd like to hear your thoughts and experiences on how you're using DBT hooks, if you ever use it or if you plan to use it within your DBT project. All right, I'd like to hear that in the comment section, and don't forget to share this video and hit the like button, subscribe button as well. And I'll see you in the next video as we continue our A to Z series. Thank you.